Hello there, I'm MountPain27 and this is Dean of Doom, the show where we give grades to classic and contemporary Doom wads. Why? Because ranking things is fun. Today's episode will be dedicated to the Plutonia Revisited Community Project, or PRCP, a megawad released in 2011 by a ragtag crowd of Final Doom enthusiasts led by perhaps the biggest Plutonia fan of them all, Josh Seeley. You might be thinking, what's the point of a Plutonia-themed community project when we've already got Plutonia 2? Well, if you're worried about redundancy, don't be, because PRCP, while slightly messier than its 08-born cousin, arguably comes closer to capturing the look and feel of the original without coming off as a needless retread. Being a community project, PRCP naturally does have some bumpy stretches, but it features more direct homages to Grandpappy Plutonia than Plut 2 did, and it's also a little more experimental, which may excite folks who share my love of grab-baggy first playthroughs. Also, I find that I have a greater tolerance for sequels in Doom than I do in film, TV, books, and other video games, so I say bring on the Final Doom rehashes until this game kicks the bucket. I'll play them all. Before we go to it, here's how the show works. Every map gets one grade for quality and one for difficulty. Quality grades go from A to F. Grade A levels are fun, memorable, visually distinctive, creative, and a fair challenge. We grade difficulty from X to E. X for extreme, E for easy, A through D in between. Keep in mind, my idea of a great map is probably not the same as yours, but that's okay. Disagreeing is part of the fun, after all. At the end of the day, this show is about spreading the joy of Doom, so let's do so. Before we start, the rules are we play on ultra violence and must pistol start each level. I need to play the wad twice before reviewing it. Saves are allowed, and we go for 100% kills in all levels, making exceptions when it's just not worth it. I play on Z-Doom, and today's compatibility is vanilla, with Plutonia.wad being required to run properly. Now to the wad. Map 1, Stonewall. Welcome to Congo Joshi Edition. A tribute to the openers of Plutonia and its sequel, Stonewall is an ivy-covered brownstone swamp base packed with the usual Plutonian suspects. Stonewall brings back the old chain gunners behind a lowering wall trick and the obligatory crate-dwelling archvile guarding an SSG, but the rocket launcher is more lightly attended than usual, and I don't remember any shootable switch secrets in Plutonia. Do you? If anything, replaying this map puts what the Casales did in perspective, because this was a tough map 1 in 2011, and it's only a bit harder than Congo. Grade B, difficulty C. Map 2, Temple of Setsa. Hope you're ready for a round of fisticuffs because Temple of Setsa throws you right into the ring. Well versed in Plutonia-style aesthetics from his Whispers of Satan excursions, say that 5 times fast, P-Corf does a good Casale impression, but I'd be lying if I said this map excited me. The red key scrap is alright, and the monster closet trap before the blue key almost got me, but beyond that there's not much to report. If you miss the secret rocket launcher and SSG like this dummy, you'll have to lean on martial arts skills to dispatch the chaff or risk running out of ammo. Footnote, Paul Corfiatis' text file commentary is worth a read for the chuckles. Map 3 for the Plutonia Revisited Community Project. Medium difficulty, save often or you will be slaughtered. Sage advice, Paul. Grade C, difficulty C-. Map 3, Escape from Ghost Town. More rip-off than homage, Escape from Ghost Town adopts a bigger is better approach, meaning it takes its source material and makes it larger. Ultimate Lorenzo adds extra chain gunner verandas and overscales the courtyard and ending, which is practically copy-pasted from Plut Map 5. The first time I played this map, I appreciated it solely for reminding me of a Plutonia map I like, but after giving it second and third looks, I've come to see it as unflattering fanfiction. The only reason Escape from Ghost Town isn't a total loss is it makes me respect Milo Casale's work more. Grade D-, difficulty B-. Map 4, Emerald Pools. Considering it's heavily inspired by the Omen, which dwells in my Doom doghouse, Emerald Pools is surprisingly good. One thing's for sure, it's got a screw loose somewhere. It's only map 4 and I'm seeing revenant swarms, reams of archviles, a BFG, and a goddamn cyber demon clopping around by the exit. The teleporter ambushes, especially the ones guarding the keys in the final room, are downright unhinged and give me a small thrill of psychotic energy that I quite enjoy. According to the info TXT, this is one of C30N9's earliest maps, with Joshi's contributions being mostly cosmetic, so hats off to him. Grade B+, difficulty B+. Map 5, That Flooded Place. A slavish work of Casaleism, That Flooded Place plays like a literal Plutonia outtake given a sprucing, so uncannily does it replicate the original's gameplay and atmosphere. Chain gunners are wildly overrepresented among hit scanners, as they should be, with pain elementals, revenants, and archviles swooping in on cue to punish key seekers. I found the secret SSG this time, press the skull with the non-glowing eyes for that, so I didn't have any problems with this one, though I did benefit from knowing to save 2 handfuls of rockets for the archvile duo guarding the red key. The map's lack of height variation makes it feel a bit corridor shooty at times, but Keeper of Jericho throws in enough surprises to ward off boredom. Grade B-, difficulty C-. Map 6, Stony Halls. With a tiny bit of down tuning, Matt Tropiano's Map 6 could have replaced Joshi's Congo. Stony Hall's first and final minutes are the most likely to to do you in. After the bars slam shut on the red key, you're forced to cut through zombie territory and fight off fireballers and arachnotrons tooth and nail until it's safe to grab the rocket launcher. After that, the map takes a chill pill, so save up for the chain gunner and archvile sandwich awaiting you in the final room. I don't care much for these old-fashioned wall press secrets, and Tropiano's rather mechanical aesthetic doesn't do much for me, but Stony Halls offers some nice bursts of excitement and fulfills the Plutonia mandate. Grade B-, difficulty B. Map 7, Caudile. The first thing you'll see when the curtain parts on Caudile is a pair of cyber demons and a bucket load of rockets and cells. Better be quick, because the buttons that lower your guns are right at the cyber's feet. Or hooves. You know what I mean. Each cyber teleporter has a mancubus loaded in the chamber behind it, and when you knock out all 4, the map gets choked with spiders, just like in Speed of Doom Map 7. Joshi gives you 2 extra soul spheres for a reason, because it's a hell of a job skirting around these bulky brainiacs. Beware the Archvile's gaze if you go outside, and don't waste ammo on the cacos, because the yellow key springs a revenant alarm. Once you've dusted them, you can unlock the exit and kiss this Alcatraz goodbye. Caudile is one of the more intense dead simples I've played, and it gets a big lift from Primeval's driving MIDI. Grade B+, difficulty B+. Map 8, Rules of Death. The first of PRCP's French invasion maps, Rules of Death pinches bits and pieces from all over Plutonia's first half. Speed's opening room, this ambush from Genesis, and Aztec's invisible bridge. Mount Moron forgot he could walk here for about 5 minutes in this recording. Rules of Death's lack of pity identifies it as French. The Hell Knight room in particular is a smothering nightmare. Going in, I thought I had a strategy for it and then proceeded to die 8 times. Snot slingers attack you from both sides of the red carpet and fill up the rooms in front of and behind you, so you're surrounded in seconds with nothing to bore through them except a plasma rifle and some spare rockets. Rush past them into the next room and you risk life and limb against a cyber demon and archvile spiked peanut gallery. From the secret BFG down in the blood, you'll teleport right back to the middle of the Hell Knight room, so squeeze that trigger and hope for good cyber infighting. Rules of Death is vicious. Approach with care. Grade B, difficulty A-. Map 9, Ruined Kingdom. This waterlogged castle map might as well call itself Realm 2. It borrows nearly every noteworthy set piece from Plutonia's 8th map, including a pair of elevators that takes you to the hub, a mancubus-infested sewer tunnel, and an ending spearheaded by revenants and archviles. Ruined Kingdom ducks plagiarism allegations by tacking on a few nasty rooms sprung from Tatsured Caco's own imagination, most notably this cramped harbor shootout. Dodging Hell Knights and Caco projectiles proves tricky here if you want to dispatch them speedily. First-timers might encounter ammo trouble, especially near the end, if they don't investigate this indented wall. Whack the vial, take the teleporter, and a bonus cache of rockets and cells is yours. Ruined Kingdom throws 2 tiers of pain at you in the final minute, but thrifty players should be able to chuck rockets at the problem until it goes away. I think Ruined Kingdom strays a bit too close to its source material, but it's still a pleasant experience. Grade B-, difficulty B+. Map 10, Bloodbath. A super shotgun, backpack, and rocket launcher in the first room? That's what I'm talking about. JC Dorn has made a career stuffing big carnage in small packages, and this is where he got his start. Bloodbath is the most enjoyable map in the megawad so far. In true Kasali fashion, JC pumps you full of rockets, and the invulnerability behind this bloodfall lets you mutilate a fight of your choice. I usually pick the flash flood that hits when you grab the red key. Expect the unexpected archvile-wise, and don't be afraid to let the plasma rifle rip, especially near the end. This map is the cathartic hit of violence that PRCP needed, and it's a damn sight better than Onslaught. Grade A-, difficulty B. Map 11, Will You Be My Enemy? Will You Be My Enemy is revealing of Darkwave's mapping ability. Like Ryan Gosling, or Ryan Reynolds for that matter, he seems incapable of playing anyone but himself, so his contribution to PRCP plays like Plutonia the way Darkwave did. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Aesthetically, he borrows heavily from Gusta and Thomas Vandervelden, and his custom MIDI is essentially a remix of Jimmy Paddock's Become the Hunted from Plut 2. It's quite easy to mistake one for the other. Enemy is spacious, but eerily empty, with most of the monsters hiding behind corners, waiting to teleport behind you, or both. Oddly enough, the Archies themselves are more annoying than dangerous, especially compared to the Revenants and Chain Gunners. An Archvile Tripwire might catch you off guard, but unless they're leading a posse of boneheads, I sleep. As a consequence, this is probably the most boring Darkwave map I've played. It's an overlong, uncomfortable fusion of arch violence and Darkwave's shtick. Grade B-, difficulty A-. Map 12, Velocity. Ironically, this map gives me deja vu for both speed and Kira's map 15 for Plutonia 2, which also gives me speed deja vu. Velocity is simpler than its inspiration and takes less time to finish. I appreciate its comparatively friendly chain gunner placements, and Kira improves the Cyber Demon room by letting you telefrag these goats with some careful footwork, but the climactic outdoor fight with a second spider mastermind, 2 archviles, and a swath of other stuff is a train wreck. Without the secret BFG, it's a total crapshoot, but you can also just creep over the ledge, summon all the enemies, and let them mosh each other to death without lifting a finger. I won't say Velocity isn't enjoyable, but I don't really think it needed to be made. Grade C, difficulty B. Map 13, Slaughter Zone. Despite having a bitter first encounter with it, I've come to appreciate this acerbic little bastard of a map. Set entirely in and around damaging floor, Slaughter Zone drags you for ammo and punishes tentative play. Try to hazmat up and maneuver past beefier enemies in the blood canals, but pay heed to flying foes, especially after grabbing keys. I try to rush inside rather than fight with walkways and meatballs simultaneously. Paul Corfiatis excels at crafting super secrets. They're sometimes too obscure, but they're always worth finding. Case in point, pressing the misaligned texture in this skeleton closet leads to a motherload of goodies, essentially handing you the reins to the map. With a plasma gun in hand, the only remaining threat is the pair of archviles that spawn outside when you raise the bridge to the exit. Even without the plasma, Slaughter Zone is a manageable challenge that keeps you on your toes and evokes the feel of classic Plutonia without copying it. Grade B+, difficulty B+. Map 14, Undertaker. Another map that makes Plutonia's style its own, Undertaker kicks off with a bonehead rush that I recommend confronting directly. The rocket launcher out in the hallway looks tempting, but you probably won't be able to create enough space to use it safely, especially since 4 more revenants wake up when you grab it. To get to the other side of the fortress where the yellow key is, you'll have to brute force your way through this teleport junction. Get rid of the pain elementals immediately, as their progeny can alley-oop a Cyber Demon rocket into your schnoz. The return trip to this room is frankly ridiculous. Phobos dishes out a double dose of delinquents in round 2, crowding the room worse than hell's busiest deli counter on a Saturday morning. That fight aside, Undertaker is straightforward, skull-cracking fun. Grade B, difficulty A-. Map 15, Helix. I think we can call a moratorium on remakes of the Inmost Ends now. Zazer Acheron's kaleidoscopic remix of American McGee's most oft-quoted map is probably the most memorable level in PRCP, and likely to be a lot of people's favorite in the set, but I confess it is not mine. First, the positives. Helix is a work of stunning ambition, and I can't believe it's vanilla compatible. The sheer quantity of details, unconventional shapes, and dynamic sequences is impossible not to be wowed by in terms of effort invested. The Helix sequence itself, in which archviles run you like a bull through the streets of Spain, is downright iconic, and still one of the more novel archvile fights I've seen. Unfortunately, there is a huge but at the end of all this praise. Helix is so out of step with the rest of the megawad that it's actually distracting. It ain't in the same ballpark, the same league, even the same sport as the rest of these maps, and not because it's that much better, it's just that different, and that much bigger. It took me longer to beat this map a second time than the 4 before it put together, and to be brutally honest, I dreaded playing it again, and was right to. With the exception of the Helix itself, the fights are autopilot fodder or hard work, all the more so if you don't find this secret, non-secret super shotgun. To hide away the map's only double barrel like this is unconscionable. Helix's orgiastic amount of optional stuff makes it a nightmare for 100%ers, and the copious amount of monster window dressing is a royal pain in the ass to dispose of. The secret exit is also a bear to find, standing in stark contrast to how Plutonia itself handles it. I can't hate Helix because it's clearly made by an avid creative who adores Doom, but it's no fun at all for me, and undeniably magnum opus-ish to its own detriment. Grade B-, difficulty A-. Map 31, Cyber Demon Vertigo. Cyber Demon Vertigo should not have been shipped with PRCP in this state. The bugs section of its Doom wiki page is comically long, with the soft lock in the first Cyber Demon room being the worst of its many flaws. When this door locks behind you, you're supposed to be able to open it with a Satter switch, but woo! Decided that the switch should only work once, so the door will sometimes close again for no reason like it did to me, and if that happens, you're out of luck. After you clear this room, there's no logical reason to return to it, so it really shouldn't matter, but woo! Decided that every teleporter in the map should route you back to this big red diamond platform in the middle of the locked room. Big brain stuff. Fatal flaw aside, Cyber Demon Vertigo is just a clumsy rewrite of Cyberden. It foists a BFG on you right away to minimize subtlety, but still manages to stall its engine between cyber battles with beef-tastic monster window dressing and dead air. Also, I have no idea why the team let woo put a credits Easter egg here. Credit rolls in the middle of movies are pretty much exclusively used for comic effect, and I'm not laughing. Grade F, difficulty B+. Footnote, oh hey, How you doing, Startan? Map 32, have at it. Even wilder than Plutonia 2's go-to-it sequel, William Huber's super secret slugfest is still one of the harder maps he's made. Intended to provide as much challenge in 2011 as go-to-it did in '96, have at it boasts 250% more foes than the original, including 21 cyber demons, 33 pain elementals, 162 revenants, and most importantly, 59 archviles, who will balloon the final kill count to well over 1,000. Have at it marries elements of entryway with system control from TNT Evolution, and its ending mimics E1M1 as a tip of its cap to go for it. This is one of William Huber's earliest publicly released Doom maps, and his inexperience manifests in intemperance. Almost every room is overcrowded to the point where monsters can't help but massacre each other, and he kinda overdoes it with the Flame Boys. They mostly come in 2s and 3s, but the Red Key Resurrection Squad is something else entirely. Direct confrontation is inadvisable here, especially when you can camp them from this heaping pile of chain guns. The ending goes ape with Barons, Pain Elementals, Cyber Demons, Revenants, and Archviles, locking them in with you until the job is done. I admit that its excess does make me a bit giddy sometimes, but even within its subgenre, Have At It is repetitive, grindy, and overkill. Grade C+, difficulty X-. Map 16, Gambit. After a bullet-riddled opening minute, Matt Tropiano's hellish hideaway winds down considerably. It's mostly hit scanners, imps, pinkies, specters, and revenants in the first half, so get some ice for that left hand. The swarm of revenants by the yellow key is monster blocked in the mine shaft, so you can peekaboo them to death with a decent number of shells and rockets. The light arrow on the floor suggests Tropiano wants you to run for it, but I say, make me. Primeval's MIDI, reminiscent of Deep Into the Code, mentally prepared me for an ending as vicious as abattoirs, but no such luck. Deal with a single Archie in the last room, grab the BFG, flatten the bone bags guarding the yellow switch, and with the last of your cells, send the mastermind to the junkyard. All told, pretty generic Plutonia fodder. Grade C+, difficulty B. Map 17, The Unholy Crypt. Deftly interweaving Plutonia Map 13 references with its own colorful ideas, Evo Calvin's Unholy Crypt hits hard and often, but aggressive play and a few handy secrets will give you the upper hand. This lion switch unlocks a computer map, but there's also a switch behind the Bloodfall that opens a teleporter to the prominently displayed BFG at the start. You won't need it right away. In fact, the first few fights are probably more fun without it. I especially like this nod to a certain Archie and Chain Gunner shootout from Plut 13. No running away from this one. The two-pronged red key fight is the climax of the map. Prepare your big gun of choice, hit the switch, and watch the place go nuts. An Archvile-led chain gang will postpone your escape, and after that, a Cyber Demon-led chain gang will postpone your exit. Without the bypass fights gun, the Unholy Crypt plays much more wickedly, but it's quite good either way. Grade B+, difficulty A-. Map 18, Phantom Silence. I have strong memories of hating this map when I first played it. Phantom Silence pushes a punishing combination of platforming and ambushes. Evo Calvin likes to chase his feature fights with nasty reprisals from chain gunners, arachnotrons, revenants, pretty much any monster you wouldn't want to fight in the open and on shaky footing. The red key fight leaves you particularly powerless unless you've got a blue key and plasma rifle first. Phantom Silence is one of few PRCP maps that has no obvious Plutonia cognate, with the music, platforming, and sunken lava city aesthetic instead pointing to Sunder Map 5 for inspiration. However, its ending pulls directly from Plutonia 2's Arch-Violence again. There's no BFG in this map on UV, so you better keep your head during the Arch-Vile Gauntlet. I respect the hell out of Phantom Silence. It squeezes a lot out of 100 monsters, looks smashing under vanilla limits, and doesn't use Plutonia references as a crutch. Grade A, difficulty A. Map 19, Venom. Venom is aptly named. It's drenched in damaging floor, lacerates you with traps, and stocks precious little health, practically seething at the player through Primeval's MIDI. I spent half of this playthrough under 50% health, crawling through bloody sewers, desperately looking for rad suits and fighting for my life. The yellow and blue keys are technically optional, but you'll want them for ease of access and extra white suits. The red key isn't hard to find, but it's tough to get to. There are 5 red barriers between you and the switch that makes it accessible. 4 can be removed with switches scattered across the map, and the 5th can be filled with flak or telefragged if you're feeling up to it. If you want some extra health for the ending, take the backside of this teleporter, shimmy along this railing to an opening, and you'll find a stash of rockets, a soul sphere, and another blistering fight. Venom's atmosphere absolves some of its grindiness and outright hostility, but it's still not a map I look forward to playing. Grade C+, difficulty A. Map 20, Sinister Daybreak. The high-powered de facto sequel to Plutonia's most infamous chain gunner factory, Sinister Daybreak borrows from Caged and straight up steals the Twilight centerpiece. I love that Tatserd Kako rewards players for knowing Plut Map 15's secrets. It's a great feeling to land on this Macubus platform, turn around, and see an invulnerability. I use it to knock out this busy vial and mitigate chain gunner chip damage at the start of the blue key wing. With the keys that make green when mixed together, you can unlock the BFG in the first final fight, which I didn't feel like playing safe. I'm still not a Doom God, that was attempt number 7. After cleaning up, nuking 5 archviles, and seizing the red key, it's time for final fight number 2, which is unfortunately a bit disappointing. The boss monsters will be too busy killing their friends to care about you. Pick your moment and BFG decisively. This map almost lives up to its source material's reputation, and it's probably my favorite Tatserd Kako map. Grade B+, difficulty A-. Map 21, Asmodeus's Circle. The Devil's Circumference is a painful, awkward, and tactless map that masquerades as a remake of Plutonia Map 21. Replaying it the other day, I was impressed by how dense and explosive Slayer still is. Beelzebub's Ring, on the other hand, somehow manages to be both constrictive and overscaled, plops weapons and rad suits and poison blood just to spite you, and hides an absolutely essential megasphere and BFG in secrets. There are just 4 medikits, 7 stims, and 2 green armors in this map to supplement the 1 non-secret megasphere that you need to kill a cyber demon on a short walkway for. If you thought the Macubi, Revenants, Barons, and Hell Knights on these narrow bridges were annoying to deal with the first time, just wait. Right at the end, 4 archviles show up and bring everything back to life while another cyber demon monitors all 360 of Satan's degrees. I thought about portioning out the last crumbs of my ammo on these fools, but that would be like thanking this map for smacking me across the face. Lucifer's Loop is cruel, crude, and lazy. Grade F. Difficulty A+. Map 22, Suicide Mission. A straightforward remake of Plutonia's possible mission, backed by a hard rock Dave D. Taylor cover. Suicide Mission calls back to its original frequently, but Valkyrie Force does make an effort to distinguish the two. The triple archvile shocker and the fake flesh wall corridor is my favorite of his additions. Be sure to grab the plasma and SSG from these slime columns or you'll be in for a miserable time. Valk keeps you well stocked with rockets, cells, and rad suits. You'll want to pop back to the hub periodically, because the slime is toxic this time around. I don't know if it's meant to be, but I think this rocky outdoor fight is actually easier than the one in Plut Map 22. The 6 Macubi that emerge from the slime columns in the yellow key room are much easier to door fight than engage with directly. Same story with the Archies and Revenants covering the exit. All in all, another passable tribute map. Grade B-, difficulty B. Map 23, Necrogenesis. Much more restrained than his Go-To-It clone, William Huber's Necrogenesis is pretty darn good for being his first ever vanilla map. It's large and somewhat unclearly signposted, which can tack on bland minutes in first runs, but the Frenchman keeps the action coming at a steady pace, leaning heavily on teleport traps to keep you on edge. Huber's earthy texture choice makes the cavernous setting more natural than your typical living end photocopy, and the damaging floor is thankfully a non-factor so long as you're light on your feet. Of course, if you don't take the dip in the sludge, you won't find the BFG, which is hiding in a weird void dimension that inquisitive players can use 2 evil eye teleporters to access. As usual, we'll lose combat as the sharpest element of his work, and he thrives most when creating chaos. Grade A-, difficulty B+. Map 24, Terra Incognita. PRCP's second obligatory living end reference doesn't stray far from its source material, explicitly recalling the cage fights from Antichrist and a whole lot more from Final Frontier. The archviles at the start, platforming up to a Revenant teleporter and plasma gun, the secret switch and the damaging blood that leads to goodies guarded by Revenants, the archvile ambushes, and the long-range cyber demon ending. The only fight that departs in the Casali blueprint is this yellow key ambush, which, come to think of it, is very reminiscent of this fight from Dario's Memento Mori map, which is also a lot like Plutonia Map 24. There's nothing wrong with Terra Incognita, but Final Frontier fit all the same stuff into less real estate in half the time. Grade C, difficulty B+. Map 25, Wicked Garden. About a year ago when I played PRCP for the first time, I remember thinking Wicked Garden was one of the worst maps of the bunch. Tight on ammo and stingy with space, it resisted the Plutonia vibe that I'd been quite enjoying up to that point, and took much more time to finish than the minuscule monster count suggested. My second playthrough of Wicked Garden went something like this. This is pretty cool, actually. Why did I hate this map again? Okay, now I remember. It's hard to express my dislike for Wicked Garden in simple terms. Yes, I dislike boxing barons in tight spaces. Yes, I dislike monster window dressing, and this map pretty much crowns Zazer the king of it. Yes, I dislike the antsy teleporting archvile boss battle, but these things add up to mere annoyances in an otherwise atmospheric and technically impressive outing. So what's wrong with it? Well, in the text file, Zazer lists his own map as an inspiration. How conceited, he says. Yep, He goes on to encourage the player to save ammo while placing half of his monsters high up and behind barbed wire, or using them as decorations outright in the case of these cacos, which is a rather hostile gesture to UV maxers. The super shotgun is nowhere to be found, and you have to save rockets at the boss fight, so the second half of the map amounts to janitorial work with former human weaponry under the guise of Malcolm Sailor-style ammo deprivation. I don't buy it. Suffice to say, Wicked Garden's self-indulgence rubs me the wrong way. Grade D+, difficulty A-. Map 26, Poison Ivy 3. Those familiar with Resurgence or Speed of Doom might brace for impact going into this map, and that's good, because the start is blazing hot. But once you get a rocket launcher and a corner to hide behind, this map is yours for the taking. Pilfer this mastermind's rocket stash and go wild. It's no surprise as he was the project lead, but Joshy got the point of PRCP better than most of its participants. His references are organic and extend his own ideas rather than rehash someone else's. This second helping of Impossible Mission Spectre Slime Grid transforms into an Archvile double team, and the Sewers Arena adds a Cyber Demon to speed the carnage but walls you in with bullets and fire. The more I think about this map, the more I like it. This is Josh Seeley in his element, and with how much he references it in his regular work, it's fun to finally see him go full Plutonia. Grade A-, difficulty A. Map 27, Planned Overload. Short, explosive, and ball-busting, Planned Overload is a rarity in this set for staying faithful to Plutonia's average map runtime. After a heated start that pins you down with Hell Knights, Cacos, roaming revenants, and gunfire, you'll need to collect 3 keys, each with its own fiendish surprise. The blue key is a chain gunner party, the yellow key is a Halloween party, but the red key parties get kind of a lame vibe if I'm being honest. Let's bounce. If you drop into this slime chute and run like the Dickens, you can just barely catch the teleporter that spots you on the Mud Fountain and BFG, which will charbroil the ending fight for you. Footnote, adventurous types can Archvile jump out a window to find this neat Easter egg from Armored Blood to you. Grade B, difficulty A-. Map 28, Dance with the Devil. This hard-rocking run and gun is easily my favorite of Matt Tropiano's PRCP submissions. A blood-soaked fortress stocked with rockets, cells, and squishy goons to use them on. There's a BFG sitting by the exit, which you can go for anytime you like. It's invaluable for erasing turret cyber demons and gaggles of boneheads. This map is fairly flat and monochromatic, but its interconnectedness and lack of fluff makes it one of the easiest maps in the set to blast through. Grade B+, difficulty A-. Map 29, Atlatl. Uncharacteristically closed, vague, and slow-paced for a Mechadon map, Atlatl stands in stark contrast to Plutonia 1 and 2's penultimate stages. Atlatl, which today I learned is an ancient spear-throwing tool, loses a lot of air after its aggressive start. Unlike Mechadon's more mature outings, this map is hampered by a lack of flow, marooning its better combat set pieces on islands in a sea of wandering. For example, the cramped crate fight is tense as all get out, but if you didn't find this inconspicuous lit-up Satyr switch, take the lift it lowers and jump to the other side of the dark cave beforehand, the door to the yellow key will still be closed after the fight is over, and you'll have to go all the way around to open it, or in my case, become confused and increasingly irritated as you retrace your steps 5 times. If you track it down early, the secret BFG kind of breaks this map and embarrasses the otherwise tricky final fight. I enjoy playing Atlatl more than Plut 2's Map 29, but it's definitely too slow and soft-spoken to replace Odyssey of Noises. Grade B, difficulty B+. Map 30, In the Eye of the Beholder. Dear God, what a train wreck. Being an icon of Sin Map, In the Eye of the Beholder was already treading on thin ice, but I am gobsmacked by the normally mild-mannered Thomas van der Velden's smear of cruel and horrific choices here. First off, this Caco fight is cute the first time, but it's incredibly bland if you think about it for even a second, and if you don't pop a save right after it, I imagine it becomes a maddening chore to repeat, because In the Eye of the Beholder is going to kill you a lot. Van der Velden's double-barrel monster spawner will glut the map with bullshit while you pour all of your cells into the 2 cyber demons guarding the switches that open the button which controls the elevator to the sniping spot. Then you have to quickly kill an Archvile, push through a crowd of admirers without getting telefragged, catch the elevator while avoiding 2 barren bellhops and a mastermind shooting you in the back, then contend with 2 sniping cyber demons, all the flying foes in creation, and whatever the hell spawned up there. If you get an Archvile, more than 1 pain elemental, or a fat monster on the sniping cliff, then kiss your ass goodbye. In the Eye of the Beholder absolutely deserves to be safe-scummed to oblivion. It's one of the worst icon of Sin maps ever made. Grade F, difficulty A+. So, after playing through the whole thing again, I've concluded that PRCP snuggles up to its source material a bit too closely. There are too many inferior copies of Plutonia originals here for the megawad to find its own flavor, and while I don't love all of its experimental digressions, they're much more interesting to play than the cutout cookies. This wad is sort of a guilty pleasure for me, and its uneven and outright bad moments actually made it more interesting to play. But the next time I'm feeling nostalgic for Plutonia-style gameplay, I think I'll just play Plutonia. I'm halfway through PRCP 2 at the moment, and it's already much weirder and more distinctive than this megawad. So maybe the Plutonia Revisited concept still has some gas in the tank. Stay tuned. My final grade for PRCP is a B-. Difficulty-wise, this is quite a bit harder than the jungly half of Final Doom, but comparatively tame down the home stretch. Let's give it an A-. Now for my Dean's List. Valedictorian, Map 18, Phantom Silence. Salutatorian, Map 10, Bloodbath. Class President, Map 32, Have At It. And the dunce cap is going to be a tie between Map 31, Cyberdemon Vertigo, and Map 30, In the Eye of the Beholder. Thank you very much for watching, and please feel free to share your thoughts in the WAD down below. I'd love to hear what you think, and I'll heart your comments to let you know I've read them. Now, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge my generous patrons. Aaron Allen, Agile Jackson, Agu XYZ, Alec Wehrman, Alephany, Alex Max, Alex Topfer, Artisan Talzar, Bo Higginbotham, Beatbeard, Ben Barrett, Big Sai and his trusty Glock, Big Pash Plays, Birdburn, Blind as a Mat, Buildersith, Bitefire, Kappa-Bitch, Cheese Wheel, Chris Duthat, Chris O'Neill, Christophine Place, Cutman Mike, Damo, Dan, Dario Romero, Delirium, Doot Yourself, Dorothy Miller, Eggboy, Ember, Emeljan, Emma Essex, Endless Moose, Felix Wilson, Francis T218, General Roasterock, Glenn Marmon, Goody, Griffin Upchurch, Hyaksho, In Captivity, Jeff Hibbert, Jeff Sharilla, Jose Ballestero, Josh Ballard, Jude, Just Some Schmuck, Just Great 98, Camille Bernadotte, Killplane, Quan, Leon Staten, Logan Lazalda, Lumnal, Mark Rowland, Master Drew 117, Matt, Matthew Gower, Matty Light 1990, McJimbles, Meta 47, Michael Akins, Mike OTR, Miracle Water, Mixer, MK 2021, Moko Mothman MM47, Mozicon, Mr. Bob Cyndaquil, Myolden, Nafferty, Neurometry, Knights 108, Not Obelisk, Number 26, NX Avery, Omnibot, Painful Hill 72, Pezaveng Jaj, Philip Coffey, Pixel Perfect PT, Pyro She, Quibs, Randy A, Red Doomed Earth, Reese, Reese Anderson, Richard Fry, Roadworks, Rune, Sega Monkey, Sid Menon, Smole Venom, Snacker Fork, Some Spoony Bard, Space Clanka, Spinner 8, Stonemason, Stupid Nick, Sunriser, Sylvester Priss, Tara Kushino, That Guy Known as Will, The Cloptologist, The Fiery Charmeleon, The Freeman 500, TJG 1289, Trilby Trillion, Turbine 2K5, Ultra Cow, Why Bimo Not a Crab, William Huber, and Wonka Shack. Thank you. I appreciate you all very much. This is MountPain27, and I'll see you all in the next very spooky episode of Dean of Doom.